Good morning and welcome to Newsviews. I'm Tanya Babich. For commuters, autonomous cars might sound like a dream come true, allowing passengers to work or even sleep on the road. But for the people who plan how we all get around the Chicago area, there are other issues to consider. What will autonomous cars mean for highway safety? How could they change the lives of senior citizens or people with disabilities who cannot drive? What could the impact be on public transit? And how do we ensure that we stay ahead of the technology so that it works for us? Joining me now are two people who aren't just considering those questions, they want your input as well. We have two guests from the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning. Elizabeth Irvin is Senior Transportation Planner, and Liz Shue is Principal Policy Analyst. Good morning to both of you, and welcome to Newsviews.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
So how do you envision the transportation landscape changing over the next 20 to 30 years?
Well, that's part of our job as an agency, the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning. We are supposed to look out into the future, out to 2050, and think about how are the ways that people want to get around, where are people going to want to live, and what does that mean for our investments in the transportation system. So some of the big things that we see changing are technologies, and autonomous vehicles are the sort of big shiny object that a lot of people want to talk about.
And so what kind of input are you asking of people?
So we've put together a set of recommendations for transportation projects that we think should be in the region through 2050, and also recommendations to help us steer the kind of change that you're talking about. There's a lot of different ways that autonomous vehicles or other new technologies could play out in the region, and we want to make sure that we're ensuring that all of that technology benefits us.
So how do you envision incorporating the public's input into your 2050 plan?
So the public comment period is open through August 14th, and we are going to take a look at all of it, review it, and change the plan as we need to really reflect the needs that we hear from people.
I know we're already seeing autonomous vehicles being tested in various ways, but it still kind of seems pie in the sky that we could, that so many of us could be using them. How prolific do you feel that they'll get over the next several decades?
Well, one of the exciting things is we're actually seeing some aspects of this technology on our roads already. There are a lot of cars out today that, if you're getting too close to the car in front of you, we'll hit the brakes, we'll let you know if you're shifting into someone else's lane. So we're already seeing technologies that are helping improve the safety of our roadways. As for when we see fully autonomous vehicles on the road, I think not even the automakers really know for sure yet when we'll see that. But we're really seeing a trend of a lot of these technologies being adopted. And their real potential to not only improve safety, but also really help people have more independence who maybe couldn't drive on their own.
Do you foresee this, though, being something that the vast majority of people implement?
I think that you're seeing some of the first pieces of it already today, right? So the idea that we can reroute where we're going on the fly based on traffic is building on data and communication that's tracking where drivers are right now. And that's incredibly important for autonomous vehicles to work well. As we move forward, I think people might have a lot of questions. Is it safe for them to ride in the car? Is it really going to help them in their day-to-day lives? And that's something that automakers are going to have to answer and ensure that people do feel safe. But people might see a lot of benefits. One of the things that we've talked about is senior citizens or those who have disabilities and people who might not always be able to get around as much as they want to today could really have much more mobility and much more access.
As a long-range planning agency, our job is to plan for uncertainty. And so even if this technology doesn't turn out the way we expect it to today, to really put the plans and policies in motion so that we can respond to the technology and make it work for us. So when it comes to thinking about seniors, we know that there's going to be an even larger percentage of our population that's over the age of 55, 65 as we look out to 2050. And so a lot of them rely on being driven around by other people or taking public transit. And so there's real potential for this technology to help people make that last mile to the places that they want to get to provide more independence and really not just improve sort of personal cars, but also our public transit system.
Okay. More of what could be with autonomous vehicles coming up in just a little bit. We'll be back with more of our discussion after a short break. Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to our ABC7 Chicago YouTube channel.